Boxing King Media in association with the Riyadh season. Delighted to be joined by Mr. Steve Bunce out here in Riyadh. It's 40 odd degrees. It's what, 3 p.m.
Yeah, that's why you wear linen, and you get used to it. What's the 7th, 8th time in a year or so, 10th, 12th time. I've got family live about 3 hours down the road in Bahrain. I'm always amazed when Brits who moan constantly about how cold it is, when they land in Riyadh, they moan about, wait for it, how hot it is. Of course it's hot. You're in Arabia, okay? You're in the Middle East, and you're out here in summer. You know, in November and December, you've got to put a little cardigan on at night. Right now, it's hot. It's that simple. So get in the shade, get in the water, get in an air conditioning room, and just get on with it. Everyone else, I'll let you in a secret. Everyone else seems to be able to cope with it. Us Brits, us boxing fans, ooh, we're not great travellers when it comes to the hot.
Well, why is that? Because it's funny you should say that, and I've seen that sort of reaction with some people that are here saying like, it's either too hot, the rooms aren't big enough, or the bed isn't comfortable enough, or they want to change hotels, all that kind of stuff.
You know what? I've stayed now in Riyadh. This is my 6th time in Riyadh in a year. Okay, I had one hotel that was a disaster, but it was a massive disaster. Everybody wanted to move out of it. BBC, TNT. I don't know why it was booked. It was an absolute disaster. Every single other place I've stayed, and they're not expensive places. I'm not in the places where I do the interviews with Deontay Wilder, where I do the interviews with Tyson Fury or Alexander Usyk or Frank Warren or Eddie Hearn. And I've been in those places. I've been in the $3,000 suites. I've been in the suites with their own saunas out looking over the city on the 42nd floor. I've been in suites with weight rooms, gyms, proper gyms go. I'm not talking about own machine. I'm talking about a full-on tiny gym inside a suite. I've been in those suites. But the other places I've been in, which are a lot cheaper, like this place, they're brilliant. They're fantastic places. I've always been. I'm sort of stunned. I'm stunned, but it's not different. It happens everywhere around the world. You know, people moan when they land in Las Vegas. People moan when they go to a European title fight in Rome. I just think, you know, maybe some of my brothers and sisters in the media, maybe we just like to moan. Maybe we just like to moan about things, you know?
It is the British culture.
It is our culture.
It is. Jump onto the fights. And before I talk about this 5E card, the big news the other day was the Fury Usyk fight getting scheduled for the 21st of December. One of the main things I want to start off with is there was a lot of people suggesting that Tyson wouldn't take the rematch, that he'd retire. They were saying that before the first fight, to be fair. But I spoke to Johnny Nelson, and he said, you know, he thinks he won't be able to take that defeat well, and he'll pack it up. Judge your reaction to him taking the fight and the fact that it's 7 months away.
Well, I think he had to think long and hard about it, and I think he listened to some people surrounding him. And I think he also listened to his body, which is why we've gone 7 months and not that September potential date or that October potential date or that November potential date, or even bold talk of a late August date. No. I mean, he's pushing it as late as possible. It's the last weekend before Christmas. So in that sense, I think he has listened to people, and I think I'm not sure whether he was contemplating retirement, but I think he was certainly contemplating his continuing in the business. And for him to continue in the business, he thinks he needs it to go to December. You know, if something happened and he didn't feel great in training in September, October, perhaps it'll go to a bit later, a bit earlier the year after. I could see that happening. I mean, not a late cancellation, perhaps even an early cancellation. Tyson needs to relax a little bit. He needs to pull back. He needs to spend time with all those kids of his and his wife and his family, and do some Tyson time, in my opinion. He doesn't need to be back in the gym anytime soon. And I think if he does continue to fight, and I think he will, I think he'll be a better fighter, but he needs a break.
One of the big things that came from the fight, and no doubt if he won, it probably wouldn't have been raised as an issue, but obviously when with the losses, scrutiny comes, and a lot of people talked about the corner work, saying that, you know, the 3 trainers were all given different instructions. I don't know if have you actually seen the footage people are talking about?
No, because I was there live and I was watching it, and you know, champions corners can be chaotic. We sometimes forget that. You know, we look at some of the legendary trainers, people like Angelo Dundee, people like Manny Stewart. We know men that changed the course of boxing history and did their stuff in a corner. Well, trust me, there was still chaos in those corners. There was still mayhem. There was still... It's 60 seconds. There's 3 or 4 people plus the boxer. So really what you're looking at during that minute break is you're looking at 5 minutes if you scrutinize each person. And I love watching corners during the breaks, Gull. It's one of my things I do. So when I'm doing my 5 Live or when I'm doing my TNT, and if I'm talking during that period, I will watch the corner. I won't look at the person I'm talking to. I'll watch the corner because there's so much happening. You can see so much from the boxer. You can see stuff from outside. And that corner was a very busy corner on the night. But Andy Lee, his father Gypsy John, and Sugar Hill, those are 3 voices he knows. Those are 3 voices he trusts. And those are 3 voices that would have been telling him things that they deeply believed were valid. I think we all know that 3's too many, but at the same time, it is 3 voices that he's familiar with and he recognises. And should there be a hierarchy in the corner? Yes, there should. But do you push what happens in a corner? Does it happen every time that we have this situation? This is a unique fight. It's a multi-million-dollar fight. It's for the undisputed, first one for 25 years. There were a bad few rounds, and naturally the corner is working. Now, trust me, when Angelo Dundee was up there salvaging and saving Muhammad Ali in various fights, Drew Bundini Brown was screaming in, Gene Kilroy was screaming in from the outside, and even when Manny Stewart was controlling that corner and looking at Lennox Lewis and swearing at him, there were other people shouting stuff. Trust me, that's the way it works. People were coming from the side of the ropes. Angelo Dundee has been known to send people away when promoters have come over. You know, you see Frank Warren, you see Eddie Hearn getting involved in corners in hard fights. You know, we're all geniuses after the event. Those were very emotional, very torrid rounds. In an ideal world, there'd be one person talking to the boxer. We don't live in an ideal world when it's round 8 and the fight might be slipping away from the champion, the unbeaten champion. You don't live in, that's not an ideal world. That's a supersonic, ridiculous world. And so once you're in that situation, who knows what's going to happen? Is that you can't legislate for that type of thing. You can't plan for that type of thing. Emotions run high, they run deep, and people get carried away. It's as simple as that.
I think it's quite a fair assessment. It's interesting because I got 2 different contrasting opinions. I spoke to True Geordie, who initially people didn't ever think he'd come to Saudi Arabia. He's been flown over because, you know, his observations are quite interesting. He said Usyk has this effect on fighters and corners. He said he used the example of AJ. I think the second fight, was it the first fight? I can't remember, when he had Joby Clayton, Angel Fernandez and Rob McCracken in the corner, and he said it was the same that night. He said it's the Usyk effect.
Yeah, but no, well, he's wrong, completely wrong, because what was wrong with that corner that night is it was 3 people who'd forgotten the hierarchy, who'd forgotten what to say, and also a couple of those people had no right to be giving instructions. Let's get it right. So I'm going to completely dismiss what the geezer said, because if he understood any boxing history, he'd understand the difference between Andy Lee, Sugar Hill, and Gypsy Johnny. Compare those to the 3 people in that corner. Only Robert McCracken from that corner can sit at the table with the 3 people in Tyson Fury's corner. That's a simplistic, and I'd expect that from this growing trend of people that think they're instant boxing experts. That's a really simplistic interpretation. 3 people were talking duh, and 3 people were talking here duh, so they're the same. Completely wrong, okay? Completely wrong, okay? Jody, whatever his name is, and the other geezer, Angel, world titles combined in the ring and outside the ring, probably 5. Yeah, probably 5. Okay, let's get it absolutely right. You want to tell the truth, that's the bottom line. Okay, because guess what, a so-called expert can be wrong. Okay, so that is just ridiculous. We shouldn't even be discussing someone that I've never even seen at ringside. That's pathetic.
Peter Fury said, you know, he did an interview on October Red's channel, and he basically said that, you know, it's my corner, and anybody else speaks, I tell them to shut the fuck up, and that's it. You stay out of it because it's my corner. I'm guessing that scenario would have been difficult, his dad being there, and obviously Andy Lee part of the team.
Listen, Peter's absolutely right. I said the ideal case is that one man or woman is in charge of the corner. That's absolutely standard, and that's how it should be. But you can't legislate for what happens in that fight. Everyone's got a minute. The fight's slipping away. Okay, they've got their ideas. During the 3 minutes of the fight, they can't sit down and have a powwow, or as we say in the Middle East, a majlis. They can't do that. They're all watching the fight. And in the case of Andy Lee, he might be preparing his stuff. Sugar Hill's watching it intensely. John's watching it intensely. They're not talking to each other, so they can't. There's no, when the bell sounds to end. Let's say the bell sounds to end the end of the 8th. At that point, Usyk's just about to really take over. There's no timeout. This is the real world. This is not the Matrix. There's no timeout. You've got 3 boxing men whose hearts are completely invested in that fight. They don't get to sit down, get a coffee from Dunkin' Donuts and say, okay, what do you think we should do, Andy? Well, I don't know. What do you think, Big John? Sugar Hill says it. No, it doesn't work that way. It's mad emotion. The 3 minutes has gone like that. They've got to get in the ring. Tyson's come back. They can see he's struggling. He's a round away from being nearly knocked out and stopped. They can see he's in a state. He sits down. It all comes out. And in instances like that, the best laid plans go straight out the window. And that's not a criticism of anybody in that corner. That's just a fact. There's a massive asterisk attached to that. You know, Gypsy John had been in corners before and wouldn't have said a word until he was asked, maybe as he went up into the ring. Andy Lee doesn't shout and talk over. Sugar Hill doesn't have to shout against them. But they'd never been in an undisputed world heavyweight title fight in the 9th round when their man's about to lose it. So it's all unique situations. It's all unique terrain. So you can't legislate for that type of thing. There's no way to. I mean, it's all very well a zillion people saying, yeah, but it should be one person. Of course, there should be one person in a corner, but that one person in a corner has never been in that situation. You know, people win fights. Cornermen win fights for trainers, and as I say, some of the greatest trainers in history. There'd been a lot of noise in those corners, trust me. Don't think that when Angelo Dundee was up there, don't think the rest of that corner was silent. There were half a dozen people screaming and shouting. Bob Arum might come round and scream up. Don King might come round and scream up. Bundini Brown's getting in his face. Freddie Pacheco's going mad. Gene Cora is tapping Ali's leg. That's the fact. And yet he won fights for him.
Can he make the adjustments to win that rematch from what you saw in the first fight?
He can make the adjustments to win the rematch because I had him in front, I think, after about 8 rounds, or not losing after 8 rounds. Yeah, he can make the adjustments. He knows what he's got to do. But equally, Usyk can make better adjustments. So don't think it's a case of one man. I don't think Tyson Fury had a bad night. I think Usyk had a particularly good night. Yes, he can make the adjustments. It'll be difficult.
Was he saved by the bell? That's another observation by people.
He's Tyson.
Saved by the referee, sorry.
You know, Usyk might have been stopped, and most fighters hanging around in this hotel might have been stopped in that round. But not Tyson Fury. He was given a chance, and we've seen him being hurt before, been on the floor, knocked out, and get up. So if it had been stopped in the 9th, maybe the way to rephrase it, had it been stopped in the 9th, then I don't think that you could have complained. Let's put it out.
There's another observation that Teddy Atlas pointed out, that Usyk backed off in the last 2-3 seconds. He wasn't unloading. He was waiting for the referee to kind of stop it. Mistake on his part?
Yeah, I mean, he's certain. I don't know if he backed off or if he was looking for a clean shot. There's a slight difference there, you know. It's open to interpretation. I mean, Teddy's never been wrong in his life, of course, so therefore he must be right. No, it doesn't work that way. Let's get it absolutely right. From where I was, and Usyk was 10 feet in front of me, I think he was looking for a clean finish. Because if you look at it again, Gull, he did something really rare and unique. In fact, we can't find it except in Rocky movies. When the man was out, Tyson was out, he bounced on 3 sides of the ropes and still stayed up. It was miraculous. It was mad. It was amazing. It was ridiculous. So at that particular point, I think Usyk's fault. I've just chased this guy for 2 minutes, throwing mad, crazy punches. Settle your feet, because Usyk has no idea there's 6 seconds left. Okay, if Usyk heard that clapper, he's a liar. No one did. It was mad. It was mayhem, especially down right in that ringside pit. So Usyk, I don't think held off throwing punches, waiting for the referee to come in. It's a nice idea that he had that calm. No, I think Usyk at that point is looking, having thrown so many punches, he's looking for a clean one, because that's what he needed, a clean one, not another clubbing one.
Right, one short answer. I really appreciate that. It was an incredible breakdown. I'm not going to put you on the spot and make you predict all the fights, because it's unfair, because I know you've got to interview all the fighters. But who do you think's going to win? Eddie Hearn or Matchroom? Who's getting that 3 million? Who's walking away with 3 million and sweaty armpits?
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen, all right? I don't know who's going to win, but I'll tell you what the score's going to be. It's going to be 3-2 in fights, okay? But the team that have only won 2 fights are going to win because of a bonus point. And then there's going to be chaos. So someone is, 3 men who win are not going to get any bonus money. Who do I fancy? Yesterday I fancied Warren's team, and just today I fancy Hearn's team. I'm genuinely not sure. I can't 100% tell you who I think is going to win any of the 5.
Will you get decided in that main event?
I think it might be, yeah. I think it might be. I think it might be decided in that main event. It's ridiculous, eh?
Amazing.
It's brilliant.
Bunce, appreciate your time. Any last words about Riyadh and just signing out?
Hey, listen, I tell you, look at that. Let me just show you that. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but you know what? I'm not complaining. I'm in the heat. It's going to be raining until December once I get home. Enjoy it.
Yeah, it's freezing back home.